You also want this kind of firepower? Then stay tuned. Yes, people, imagine that. We have started to take orders for it. Now that we have also received the samples of the throwing arms, that was the last missing piece, we have already started production. Very soon we are expecting the first shipment from Asia, and then we will test them each individually and then ship out as soon as we can. So, if you want to place your order, links is down there. There is GoGun CO for the US and North America. There's GoGun UK for the UK, as long as crossbows are still legally available. Probably not for long, sadly. And last not least, of course, GoGun DE for Germany and also for the rest of the world. Links down there. You will get the crossbow just as you see it here, but without the scope. The scope actually is optional. You can of course use red dots, anything, even iron sights, quote unquote. It's a standard Picatinny rail. It comes with an 18-shot magazine in standard, but of course you can buy more magazines. Will even be a 12-shot version that is a bit shorter, so you can put it like in a belt. It also comes with the adapter for the high and low mount of the rear stock, so this is more like AR-15-ish. In fact, if you lower it a little bit, then you have the adjustable cheek rest and so on, so some people prefer that, so we are adding both. And also you get this dual-sided de-locking lever here that you can press so that you don't have to take the hand off the weapon when you reload. And in standard it comes with a 16-pound throwing limb, but of course you can get a 30, a 90 or a 120 pound as an option. So the first obvious advantage is the magazine that's feeding in from below. 18 rounds capacity. As I said, there will also be a 12-shot one. This fairly expensive magazine, I know, but look at how well it's made. I mean, this is not just a little plastic box like some competitors offer. This is made from metal and of course also high quality plastics, but it also has a lot of moving parts like this secure lock, this feeding mechanism here that makes sure that the bolt in the groove always gets the same amount of pressure from below. So no matter under how much tension the main magazine springs are, as you see these are two very long spiral coil springs, that doesn't matter because the pressure on the arrow in the groove is always the same. So this of course is very good for precision. And also of course this magazine, look what I can do. I can put it in like so, then I can shoot. Right. Oops, that was too high. Probably should put it in the takeouts. Anyway, lost one arrow, but I can refill it at any time. See, if I take it out, there's nothing falling out. Everything stays inside the magazine as it should. So then I can take another arrow and simply click it in place like so and put it in and continue shooting. And of course, what you can also do is you can knock on it, you can do any kind of thing to it. These arrows will not pop out. They will stay inside just fine, just like they should. I mean, and if someone tries to tell you that this is normal, that it's actually normal and that you have to put in more than so many arrows so that they stay inside in the first place, that's all nonsense. This is how a well-made magazine should behave. Don't listen to someone who's going to tell you anything different. The next big advantage that I would like to show you is the fact that you can repeat this weapon without changing the position of your hands. And this is possible because what you do is you have this lever and it's dual-sided, so it's for lefties and right-handed people at the same time. So if you press on it, you can clap the weapon open, and then you can of course cock the action and close it again. And now you can shoot. And as you see, my hands didn't move. They stayed in the same place. So I can now take aim, shoot, and then I can repeat like so and shoot again. And I can do this as often as I want to, and I can even shoot from the hip if I want to, without ever changing the position of my hand. This is the reason why it's so fast repeating. So what kind of bolts can you use? Pretty much any bolt that is available for other magazine crossbows on the market, pistol crossbows. So we're talking about the little 6.3-inch bolts that you can also use in the Stinger or in the Vlad. So, and there are so many of them on the market with really huge price ranges. Here's just my small collection. So you got the original, very cheap EK archery ones. They also come in red and also in blue, I think. These are the Gogan Bodkins. Got plenty of those. These are really cool hunting broadheads. Those are also very effective for home defense. These are the training bolts, Gogan training bolts. They're really inexpensive. These are actually interesting because these are from China. I bought them on Amazon, and they have carbon shafts and metal caps, and they're actually really good for the price, I have to say. And these are from a brand that I don't want to talk about. And these are the Saxon war bolts made by Gogan. As you see, very solid, very tough, carbon shafts, metal end caps, all black, really mean. Some more broadheads from a dubious, questionable, I don't know. It's all right. And then of course we have prepackaged here. And there's more types that you can get, but this is just my small collection. And all of them will fit in the magazine. You can mix them, no problem. One more advantage, of course, resulting from the fact that this magazine feeds from below, is the fact that I have a really long Picatinny rail. So it literally goes from all the way from here to here. So if you want, you can install like iron sights. You can even get them like tactical in folding. So you can install, one here and one here. So I have a really long line. But you can also, of course, install a red dot, and you can decide if you want a red dot here or here or here. There's people that prefer it as far up front as possible. There's people that, like me, I prefer it as far back as possible. And then, of course, scopes. This has no limit about what kind of scope you can mount. You can really even use the biggest, fattest scopes that are on the market. No problem, because you got this huge Picatinny rail. Also, the fact that there is no magazine hump here, right? The fact that the magazine is fed from below means that you can get really close to the groove with the scope. Of course, if you put a large magazine on it, the scope mount goes higher and higher and higher. And that, of course, is really bad for a short distance, since then you got to compensate for the distance. So hard to shoot it in for like short distances, mid-range and long ranges. So this definitely is a big advantage. So of course, like it's now standard for pistol crossbows of a certain type, you have a quick exchange system for the limbs. So very easily you can exchange the limbs. We offer currently 4 different types. We got the 30 pound, then the 60 pound, which is installed in standard. Then you can also get a 90 pound and a 120 pound. Now, you have to be aware that some of our competitors lie when they tell you this is 90 pounds or 120 or this is 150 pounds. When you measure it really, with scales, then you come up with a much lower value, which you can also see in the energy levels that you can achieve. We have about 8.4 joule for the 30 pound. We have about 16 joule, which is around 12 foot-pounds for the standard 60 pound. We have 24 joule for the 90 pound. And we have 33 joule for the 120 pound, which makes the weapon almost as powerful as the Adder, which is a much larger crossbow with a much lower magazine capacity. Why did we go for the 60 pound in standard? That is because this is easy enough for anyone who is halfway strong enough to cock this without efforts. Since this has an 18-shot magazine, I mean, you don't want to, take a sick leave just because you emptied one magazine with a crossbow, right? So it needs to be fairly easy to cock to make it comfortable. It also has enough power for most home defense situations, as we will see later on. Okay, now I'm going to show you how to change the throwing arm. As you know, there's 4 types that are available. It comes with a 60 pound as a standard, and then there's a 30 pound for lighter fun, and also there is a 90 pound and a 120 pound. So this is the 30, and this is the 60 pound, and this is the biggest, the 120 pound. Now I'm going to show you how easy it is to exchange the throwing limb. So then we have this front handle, which is also on a Picatinny rail. So if you don't like it, you can get another one. You can even one with an integrated bipod or whatever. But this one here, I know it looks a little funny, but this is because ergonomics is very important on a crossbow. I mean, this is muscle operated. You want to use your muscle as effectively as possible, right? So how you cock this is, you just, much like on an expander. So, what you do is you put the rear stock under your armpit here, and then you can hold it like so, and then you got a lot of power to cock it. So even for the 120 pound, it's not super hard to cock. And of course, should you not be able to do it, you can even hold it here with your hand. But this is actually the key to shooting it comfortably. And also, you know, you don't want to make it too tight between the magazine and the handle here. So that's why we have this angle, which is really practical. I mean, if you don't like the looks, you can exchange it, but ergonomically, this is a super solution, believe me. Wah! I think for free shooting, standing up, this was a pretty good result, don't you agree? So now let's put in the hunting broadheads, because we'll now start the penetration tests. It's very nice to see how many bolts you got in. So here, if you cannot look through this anymore, then you got 18 bolts in and it's full. Okay, now the penetration tests. And of course we're going to use ballistic gelatin. Well, of course we won't be happy just with the gelatin, because we need to simulate skin and a t-shirt. So we use this really, really thick, you know, leather hide. It's actually bovine leather, so it's really solid cow leather. And we're also going to put a little bit of a cotton rack over it to simulate a t-shirt. We'll start with the 60-pound throwing arm, standard, and hunting broadheads. I noticed I hit them a bit high because of the short distance, so I will aim a little bit lower now and see if it's a better result. Well, look at this result, folks. I mean, they all penetrated very deeply. They penetrated the entire setup with the t-shirt and the leather. So that's full penetration, and that's at 60 pounds only. So we saw that with the 60-pound bow limb already the power is so great that it would easily penetrate deeply into the body of an attacker. But what if the attacker is ironclad? Well, we'll find out. So now we got a 120-pound bow limb set on. Now I have to lower my aim a little bit. I have to guess and figure it out, but we'll get to it latest on the third shot. Shall we? Well, I think the result speaks for itself. I mean, look at this. It hammered the bolts through the steel, through the leather, through the t-shirt, and almost, you know, completely all the way through the ballistic gelatin. It's amazing, isn't it? Okay, now we're gonna go extreme distance. Now we have a 30-meter distance up to the gel block, ironclad gel block over there. And we're gonna shoot the lightest arrows that we actually have. And yeah, I know competition tells you can't shoot light arrows from the heavy bows, but with the Interceptor bow you can, no problem. So these are like under 7 grams, and you can still shoot them from the 120-pound bow limb without damage to the bow itself, the string, or the end caps. Cocking the thing with the 120-pound bow limb set is a little bit harder, but I still find it very manageable. No big deal. Okay. Okay, so 3 of these bolts hit. 1 passed it to the left, and this is of course also the maximum range that you can hit a head size target like this one reliably. This is basically because of the bolts. I mean, these are the cheapest training bolts that you can get. That's also why they don't penetrate much, since they're way too light. But you can see there was still enough power from 30 meters to shoot them all the way through the steel, through the t-shirt, through the leather, into the gel block. Quite impressive for a little pistol crossbow, don't you think? Now I'm going to try to shoot 18 times as quickly as I can. And the distance to the target now, of course, is irrelevant. It's just all about the speed. Do we also have disadvantages here? Yes, we do. The biggest disadvantage is that there's no anti-dry fire mechanism. We used to have one in the earlier prototypes, but they were not reliable since they were gravity operated, and depending on how you were holding the weapon, sometimes it just did not catch the string, and then people shot just trusting, you know, that this would work. Also, it had a very negative effect on accuracy, because the anti-dry fire mechanism has to touch the bolt in the groove to make sure there is one. So, but this touch also has an influence on the flight of the arrow, logically. So, and this was a negative impact. It was less accurate. Plus also the string suffered a lot. So, you know, people forcefully try to cock the weapon, and then it's held back by the catcher. That was really, really bad for the string life. So therefore we decided to get rid of it. But what we have implemented is this little slot here. So when you cock the weapon, you just glance in, and when you see an arrow, everything is safe. So that's what you do when you're nearing to the end of the magazine. This here is so strong that it not only survives light bolts, as you saw. No, it will also survive dry firing, which typically competitors' products won't do. They, you know, end caps are going to break and everything. So I'm going to do a dry fire test for you now. Heil geblieben. It worked. It worked. All right, the My Interceptor. I think it's the crossbow of the year. It's just an amazing product. Such a huge milestone in the development of repeating crossbows. It has everything. It has power, accuracy, it's small packages. It just has everything. Anyway, I hope you like this, because that's it for today. Thanks, and bye. Bye. Komm, einen noch. Just one more. All right.